Commissioner Bud Selig stopping by our broadcast booth here at Wrigley Field. And as we start the inning, I should point out time was called. Giovanni Soto stepped out. I think he was waiting for Starlin Castro to get to his position, Bob. This is something that's been top of mind here.
Well, and that's Giovanni Soto's job. The last thing you do as a catcher before you call that pitch is to make sure that your other defenders are where they're supposed to be and facing home plate.
Well, I understand there was a little controversy about that.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But as you know, Commissioner Selig, if it happens on the field, we'll find it.
You bet.
And I think the
and
players,
by the way,
and they understand that.
They do understand it. And by the way, you guys will find it if it's off the field, too, as I well know. So it's all right. I understand.
So here you go. Now, Wells is ready. But Gio sees Castro and asks for time.
Doing a little manicuring over there on the left side of the infield. Must have been a divot from one of the base runners or a previous ground ball, and he wanted to fix it before the inning started.
Boy, beautiful night here. Huh?
Really is. 2-1 to Hayward, and he hits a high fly to right. And Colvin trying to find it. It's dusk here, and it's going to be Darwin Barney to make the catch. Well, you stop by, we've had all kinds of crazy stuff happen here.
Certainly, there's no question about it. Well, I'll take responsibility for some things, but not those.
So we're getting near pennant race time here, and this is an exciting time of the year, isn't it?
It really is great, yeah. And, you know, I said to the writers before that we really do have more competitive balance than we've ever had. I mean, there's no question about it. We have some races I'm a little nervous about, seem to be breaking apart a little bit, but for the most part, we're really this is the last 5 weeks of the season going to be very interesting.
What can you say about a potential extra wild card in each league moving forward?
We've got work to do on it yet. There's a lot of detail to be worked out, but I certainly like it. I do, and I've made no bones about it. You know what I find interesting, when we put it in '93, you both remember that I took a significant amount of criticism on being kind. It was more unpleasant than that. Now everybody wants 2 more, so I guess it's worked out all right. And I think that really will work out well. We've done a lot of study of it, and I think it will work out. And we're moving there, but there's much to be worked out, Jim.
I imagine part of that process is figuring out how to avoid the playoffs ending in Christmas time.
Well, you're right. You know, Bob and Len, we're going to end the season, I think, on Wednesday, September 28th this year, which I really like. Started earlier. I worried about that, and the weather was better in early April than it was in late April, but that's another story. And we've condensed the playoff schedule, so the World Series starts October 19th this year, and so I feel good. And no matter what we do in the future, that's what I want to happen.
Yeah,
I dread playing baseball in November.
I like what you've done with the playoff schedule. You've gotten rid of a couple of off days. Essentially, the off days are travel days. That's it.
You bet. That's it. And there's some travel dates you have to leave in there, especially if you're having a West Coast team play an East Coast team.
Do you envision realignment that would make up 15 and 15 at some point?
Something we're working on. That's got a lot of complications, but the only thing I can say to you is I'm a believer in realignment. I think realignment has some really great virtues. There's all types of realignment, and that's what we're thinking about now. But 15, for instance, amongst the things I'd like to correct in this division, why should there be 6 teams in one division and 4 and 5 in all the other divisions? And the 6 teams do grumble about it, and they're right. So we have a lot of reasons for doing what we're doing.
Which also can create an imbalance in the interleague schedule.
Exactly correct. Yes.
Cubs actually played an extra series against the Giants. So the Cubs played 15 against the American League, whereas most teams play 18.
That's exactly right. Yeah, there are some imbalances, and realignment would cure quite a few of those.
1-2 on Derek Lowe. Cubs lead 3-0 here in the third. We're with Baseball Commissioner Bud Selig. And that one is hit foul. We'll be in your hometown this weekend, and
big series.
Can you find somebody who can get tickets for me?
Pretty tough.
There won't be an empty seat all weekend.
There won't be an empty seat. Pretty tough, but I probably could help you if you're in an emergency situation. How's that?
Well, they've had quite a year.
Yeah, they really have. It's been remarkable.
Called strike 3. Can you hang for a couple more minutes?
Sure.
Speaking of the Pirates, attendance way up there. They struggled
Cleveland.
coming out of the break, but we were there and they sold out a weekend series against the Cubs. It was great to see.
I watched it. One of my great joys in life, especially at nights, is to watch all 15 games. And the Pirates are really a wonderful story. And Pittsburgh's a great baseball town, and you saw what happened as soon as Cleveland is way up too, and should be. They've had a remarkable year. Detroit set an all-time record last weekend. We're good. We're a little ahead of last year, which I think, given the economy and given everything, is amazing. Yeah, obviously, without naming names, but you know what I'm talking about. We've had 2 franchises that are way off. Other than that, we'd be having really an incredible year. But I'm comfortable we'll finish ahead of last year and have one of the biggest attendance years in our history. So, given everything, it only proves how popular baseball is today.
I would ask you about the umpires, but I think it's more appropriate that my partner does so.
I'm sure there has been talk about expanding instant replay. It was a hot button topic for a while earlier this season.
Right.
And I'm sure that's something that
we talk about it all the time. You know, Bob, it's interesting. And we're talking about it. I have this special committee, you know, with Mike Scioscia and Tony La Russa and Joe Torre and Jim Leland. And 4 general managers, 4 owners, and Frank Robinson and George Will, who must be the #1 Cub fan in America. And I'm surprised, Bob and Len, at how little appetite there is for more instant replay from that group, especially the managers. We're thinking about some things. There'll be some modest changes. One of the things we're talking about, line drives hit down the line like bullets, and sometimes when the umpire really isn't position, that ought to be for instant replay, and a couple other things. But you understand the game very, very well, both of you. Baseball's a game of pace, and you have to be careful that we really don't disrupt that. Other sports maybe can do it, but so we'll consider other things. But if you go around the big leagues and talk to a lot of people, you get very, very little encouragement to do more. But we'll look at it. We'll definitely look at it.
One bouncer to Alex Gonzalez, and Soriano is out. 2 away. Now the draft.
By the way, Bob, years ago when I was running a club, nobody second-guessed umpires more than I, but now I'm in a position I can't do that anymore.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because in my previous employment, I had to be very careful what I said.
I understand that. And Len saw my act there years ago, so he knows.
Sure.
We want to talk about the draft, Len.
Do you see big changes coming with the draft?
Well, I believe this year, as I said last week at meetings in Cooperstown, we need a slotting system. We need an international draft. The objective of the draft when they went to it in 1965 was again to promote competitive balance, be fair, let clubs have a great shot at it. We've gotten away from that, and this year there was never a doubt in my mind, but frankly in our labor negotiations, which are underway, I really want hard slotting, and I want the international draft, and I think it's fair.
1-2 on Tony Campana. Have you spent time with Tom Ricketts today?
I have. I've spent a lot of time with Tom and enjoyed it as always. We talked about a lot of subjects, and he's a very thorough, very engaged guy, and I have great confidence that this franchise is in good hands.
Martin Prado makes a catch. Always a pleasure to see you.
Pleasure to see both of you, and I'll see you maybe this weekend in Milwaukee.
That sounds great. Commissioner Bud Selig.
Great to see you again, Bud.